Welcome to the Bumblecast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Hi, what's up? I'm here. It's time for the Bumblecast. Can you believe it? I sure can't. How are you doing, Ian?
A little bittersweet, to be honest, because we just announced with Drogoon that we always knew where we're going with the project, but over the past few years, it's been figuring out how to get there. That's been the issue.
Sure.
And we finally realized that the weekly or monthly updates, a few pages at a time, just isn't working for the way that we want to tell the story. So we're putting a full stop on updates, and we are going to be concentrating all our effort on just putting the book out as it was always intended, which was as a book. Not a web comic, not a page-by-page thing, but as a book. And on the one hand, I'm a little sad because that means things have to be reshuffled and we lose that forward momentum. But on the other hand, it means that it will be done properly, better, and that's a good thing. So if you're interested in the series, keep an eye on Drogoon Comic on Twitter or Drogoon.com itself. We'll be updating when we have news for people. And however it is we're going to go about doing it. And we're going to be leaving the comic up as it is. So if you want all 70 plus pages of free content as a proof of concept of what's coming, it's going to be there for you guys to see. So it's not all bad. It's just a little sad.
Yeah. I get it, though. It's, sometimes you need a change in direction. So I understand. Hoping to see it. Hoping to see the book soon-ish, maybe.
Even if things go smoothly, it's going to be a bit. It's a big book.
Yeah. Are you planning on doing a whole thing, dumping the whole thing all at once, or in volumes, or? Oh, okay.
Oh God, no. Like, grand total's probably going to be somewhere in the thousands of pages. No, we're focusing on getting book one done.
Right, okay.
As a book.
Alrighty, that makes more sense. Alright, well, guess other than that, we don't really have a whole heck of a lot going on. Sonic celebrated his 30th anniversary, 30th birthday this past week. And there's a lot of really cool stuff going on for that, which I'm sure we'll be talking about as we get through these questions, so want to just jump right into those?
Well, first we got to tell people how to ask those questions.
Oh yeah. Okay.
If you want your question answered on the show, email us at bumblecast@yahoo.com, tweet to us at bumblecast, comment on any of the YouTube videos, and if you're a patron, please ask it over in the Ask Q&A channel over on the Discord. If you want your question answered sooner rather than later, become a $5 patron over at patreon.com/bumblecast, or donate $5 US via Ko-fi, that's ko-fi.com/bumblecast, and we'll bump you to the head of the line.
Wow. It's amazing.
Also, make sure to check the Q&A master list over at bumbleking.com/bumblecast. Check to make sure that your question hasn't already been answered, because if we answered it, there's no point in doing it again, now is there?
You'd think. Also, if it's about old stuff, just wait. We're not gonna answer those, usually. Not gonna worry about it. So, yeah. Here's jumping into the priority Q&A from somebody. I don't know who, but it's somebody. It says, hey Ian, I got caught up on IDW Sonic and I enjoy what you're doing with the Deadly Six and think they have a neat role as villains in the series and want to know what your mindset was when writing them, as now they have some kind of depth to them now, thanks to you.
No, thank you. Mostly in that I always want to mine the franchise for every bit of material it has and do something with it. I hate waste and wasted potential. And sometimes I reach a little too far. Sometimes some things probably should just be left to die on the vine. But darn it, the game's Rogues Gallery is kind of anemic. And we don't have a lot of big movers and shakers in the comic villainy either. So the Deadly Six are there. Let's do something with them. if they're going to keep pushing Zavok and occasionally Zaz, let's do something with these guys. Actually make them deadly and, six, and make them engaging as villains. So, and in the process, I've kind of won myself over on Zavok because, as I've said before, I love the eloquent monster trope, and that's what he is.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I want to do. I don't want to sound too arrogant and say I wanted to make the Deadly Six viable, because that's a little up my own ass. But folks seem to be enjoying how they're portrayed in the books, and that makes me happy. Plus, it's cleaning up my own mess, because they were a lingering plot point from the end of Metal Virus, and I tried to bring everything back to status quo enough so that Evan was free to do her own thing. But it was still this kind of big, lingering issue of, you had 6 enemies out there. They're bad news. You need to deal with it. So I'm dealing with that. And then once again, Evan is free to do what she wants to do.
Nice. Here's a question from Scruffy Matt. Hey, fellas. Hope you're both having an excellent day. Maybe. You don't know me. You can't tell me what to do. So how about that Sonic Symphony? It made my heart so happy. What were the highlights for each of you? Was there any music you were hoping for that was overlooked?
I thought it was fun.
I thought it was fantastic.
I enjoyed it. It was something that I could just enjoy as a fan and be happy about.
Yeah. I was really amazed that they did a whole Game Gear medley. That they even acknowledged the Game Gear games at all was like, oh, okay. They're going deep. They're going deep.
It brought me back to when I was a lot younger, thinking about the original Eggman boss theme from Sonic 1 and just how truly epic it would be if you gave it an orchestral treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And son of a gun, they did it exactly like I wanted them to. And I'm like, yeah, 15-year-old me is vindicated. Yeah.
They were, it was astounding. That's the Philharmonic Orchestra Prague, who mainly specializes in video game music, and they are just probably one of the best symphonies in the world. They are astounding, so I'm glad they were the ones performing, because this just so good. The Game Gear medley was great. Also delving into the Saturn stuff was neat. Getting some Nights into Dreams music snuck in there into a Sonic show was really cool. Let's see, what else was there? Yeah, overall, it was just a lot of fun. I think it's a little weird what they left out, though, because there was no representation of Sonic Heroes in the symphonic section, which was very strange. They put in Sonic 06, but not Sonic Heroes. No heroes at all.
And no CD in the...
no CD, yeah.
Symphonic section.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no
I mean, part of it might be just, if you did a smattering of every title, because honestly, all the Sonic soundtracks are fantastic, so if you did everything, it would be like a 5-hour show, which would have been great, but they're only human.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could have snuck some references in here and there. Or, swapped out the 06 medley for a Heroes medley, because why do we need a whole medley dedicated to 06? But, other than 06 being the soundtrack being outstanding, do we have to acknowledge it in like that on that level?
I don't know, because I feel like 06's soundtrack lends itself to an orchestral rendition better than Heroes' music does.
I know, but that's boring.
But they also did Sweet Mountain Out of Colors, which I didn't expect, but was very happy they did, because Sweet Mountain is like my favorite version, or my favorite track out of that whole game, and
it's a good one.
If they could do a symphonic version of that, they could do anything from Heroes.
Sonic Rush would be tough because of all the sampling and everything. It's a bit of a different beast than most Sonic soundtracks, so it could definitely be done. It just, I can see why they didn't necessarily go with it.
Version of Back in Black, though. Ooh.
Yeah. There was so much missing, though. But they really did covers so much stuff that I just wasn't really expecting them to even acknowledge, and I thought that was awesome. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's up on YouTube. All you need to do is search for Sonic 30th Anniversary Symphony. It's the whole performance is there. It's absolutely wonderful. So if you've got a couple hours and you can carve out some time, I do recommend checking it out and listening to it, and just enjoying the performances because they're excellent. We got the debut of the Tomoya Otani band as well, so that was awesome. Really enjoyed their rendition of what was the song? The middle song. It's not Reach for the Stars or Endless Possibilities. It's the other one, and I'm completely blanking on the name of it now. It's from Colors. It's the other vocal track from Colors. That song. And Crush 40, great as always. Speak with your heart. There we go. Yes, that was great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Speak with your heart. Crush 40, excellent as always. Kind of sad that they couldn't get Johnny in the same room as everybody else, but, you know, that's kind of where we are these days. And really cool to see Nate Wants to Battle contributing some vocals for both Otani's band and with Crush 40. That was cool. And some really cool renditions of all of those songs. So, yeah, just great stuff. Oh, the orchestra with Live and Learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. Wow. Kind of wish the orchestra could play on all the songs, but if they're gonna go with just one, I guess they had to go with the big ones from each band. So it makes sense. And it worked out. It sounds really good. So be sure to check that out. All right, here's a question from Happy Times. So nice to finally see Mighty Ray and the Hooligans again. Writing for the characters of the classic series, did you learn anything about how Sega wants to portray them that differs from their Archie selves? Like how Fang uses his original name instead of Knack?
There were a lot of neat little details. Like, number one, that we got any of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was amazing. Seeing official design art from Metal Knuckles was nuts, because every rendition up to this point was going off of, you know, the best interpretation you could make off of the Sonic R model, which is like all of 10 polygons.
Right.
So to finally have like clean, direct reference art for Metal Knuckles is just interesting note was that Fang was given 4 fingers instead of the old 3. So I guess that's the new visual standard. Not that it's a huge detail, but, you know, if you're a long-term hyper nerd like me, it is a distinction that you would note. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that caught me by surprise was how their notes on Bark's characterization, and that he isn't a bad guy necessarily. Like, they didn't want him to be just a straight-up ruffian. So a lot of the characterization from there was informed by that, to show that, you know, he's not a bad guy. He just kind of hangs out with bad people. And I don't know, I kind of like that detail. And it begs the question, you know, why is he with these guys? Because that was still dead on. That was still fine. But a lot of it was also me, you know, kind of experimenting, because once the Hooligans came back in Mania, they were out of my hands, you know. They were when they were in the old Archie comics, they were these obscure, long forgotten characters that nobody seemed to care about, so I kind of had free reign to do what I wanted with them. And then with Mania, it's like, okay, they're paying attention again. Can I write Bean the way I used to? Can I keep Bark as the silent bruiser? You know, how can I have my old Hooligans, or do I have to follow a new trend? And I was very happy that I got like very, very few notes on their characterization. So I guess that's the standard now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Unless it gets changed later on, but I don't know. It was just nice to get my boys back pretty much true to form.
Mm-hmm.
I I did make a conscious effort to write Fang a little differently, because in the old books, there was this kind of waffling back and forth on whether or not he was this super elite grim sniper, or if he was kind of a joke character and really inconsistent across the board. So I went back and I was looking at, his one appearance, because I'm not counting Drift. That's barely any characterization. And in Sonic Chaos, he's a little goofy. He's almost Wile E. Coyote-esque. And so I wanted to skew a little closer to that and keep him a little more cartoony, a little less grim. That and the whole thing was meant to be more lighthearted. And having a determined, grizzled sniper just doesn't fit.
Besides, you already have one of those in the main series. You don't need another one.
And, the pop gun was still in there, and they seemed to be fine with all the nicknames he was spouting off. So, man, that whole project was just a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not read it yet, so but it's okay. I'm looking forward to getting around to reading it eventually here, and it looks great, looks fantastic. So it's Triple Trouble, not Chaos, that he was in, but whatever, right, it's fine. Right. They all kind of blend together.
I knew it was wrong when I said it, but I couldn't think of what the actual title was.
Triple Trouble, which is, I'm still not entirely sure what Triple Trouble they're referring to. Are they referring to Sonic, Knuckles, and Knack?
No, Knuckles, Fang, and Eggman were the antagonists.
Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense. I guess that makes sense. Well, still. Was Honey in the special?
No.
Were there any characters you tried to use but couldn't, or anything you couldn't use? Or
no, I got everything I asked for. The only reason Honey wasn't in the mix was I couldn't find a reasonable place to put her, and there was a note early on saying, you've got over a dozen characters in this, and you only have 60 pages. Are you sure you can handle them all? I said, yeah, as long as we stick to the way that I've plotted it out, everyone will get their moment and we'll be able to enjoy each and every one of them without it becoming completely untenable.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, so we've gotten everybody back except for Honey, and that is next on my agenda, because if I cut everything else, you got to find a new mountain peak to climb, and that's it.
That's it right there. I'm ready. I am ready. Here's a question from Noni. So I've been replaying Sonic Generations and looking at old Archie comics for reasons. Anywho, an implication has brought me pause. When someone gets their time energy sapped out of them, they turn into some sort of statue, but their consciousness is still awake and aware in a state where it's like floating without a body in black limbo. But it's also been shown that said statue can be shattered into bits. So here's my question. The statue breaking part, does that instantly, fully kill them? Or is their mind still stuck in the void with the knowledge of, if time returned, they'd instantly die?
That might be more of an Evan question, because I'm pretty sure those details were was from her universe run.
That's pretty dark.
I don't think... Yeah. I don't think any of those specifications were actually in Generations. So, I mean, I could speculate, but I don't want to supersede whatever her thoughts were. Yeah, we're not going to be able to follow up on it, but I don't want to speak for her. So I think that'd be more of a question for Evan.
Alrighty then. Next question is from Andrew D. What happened to the Shadow Androids after they killed those Diamond Cutters members?
Good question. Maybe the Diamond Cutters managed to take them all out before they fell. Maybe some are still around. Most of them should be gone as of Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, but Sega wasn't super wild about us using them, so they're probably in storage at best.
And here's a question from Digama. I'm asking this before it comes out, but by the time you record the next Bumblecast, let alone release it, it'll already have been out. Can you just talk generally about your experiences writing the 30th anniversary special? Any fun behind-the-scenes facts?
No, we kind of touched on some of that already.
Sure, yeah.
I remember the first zone was named something else. initially until I realized it was kind of redundant with the Summer Zone. So we renamed it to Spring Breeze, and I believe it was Aaron said that's, could be a nice wink and nod to Nights. Do you mind if I design some badniks after Nightmarins? And I'm like, that would be freaking awesome. Just, be careful about it because we don't know if that'll get approved. And I would hate for the joke to get too torpedoed. But it made it. It's in there.
Wow. I love it. That's great.
They also doodled up some like proof of concept one shot art that I don't know if it'll go live via IDW or what. So I won't steal that thunder, but just these kind of, hey, Ian, was this what you were thinking generally? I'm like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. Yes. I saw a little thumbnail page of the sequence where the Chaos Emerald lands on Mighty's head. And even though it was just like stick figure stuff, it had me cracking up super bad. Just seeing the whole thing come together was absolutely delightful because I had fun writing it. Sure. And I was very happy that I got everything I wanted in it. But to have it just come together so beautifully is, it's so satisfying. The whole art team did a spectacular job on Seasons of Chaos. Just absolutely stellar work. I could not be happier. Just not to toot my own horn here. I was a contributor to it, but I feel like the whole thing is a 10 out of 10. Not just my story. The whole special is just phenomenal. I think this is one of the best books the ITW team has put together.
Wow. Okay. Now I really want it. Someday, eventually, soon. Here's a question from Off. So now that Sonic Revolution has come and gone, what did you think about it? It was my first convention, even if it was digital, and I had a blast. I honestly haven't seen so much positivity for the fandom in one place before, so it was a deep breath of fresh air. Did you have fun? Anything or anyone you wanted to see but didn't? Anything you wanted to share that you didn't have a chance to?
I barely had any time to experience it. I was there from the IDW panel, and that was pretty much it. So
yeah, I didn't get.
I can't really say.
I didn't get the chance to do anything with it. So, well,
I did attend in person one year, and that was a fun little show. Got to meet a lot of Sega celebs, Mike Pollock and Aaron Weber and such, and it was like, don't nerd out. You're a professional too. We're all equals here. And then we were going to go another year, and that was when Aaliyah started really falling sick, and we had to cancel last minute, and it turned into a real big mess. And they ended up putting together this huge poster board get well card for Aaliyah, and that was really, really nice of them. I really appreciated that.
That is sweet. Yeah, I didn't get the chance to really do anything or attend anything either, but I'm glad there was so much positivity around it. And also there was a lot of people just really happy with during the 30th anniversary stream too, from what I was told. So it's good to have that it's good to like things, you know? you can do that. It's allowed. Next question is from Feed. Hey guys, I got another crossover question for you. If you were given complete creative freedom to cross over Sonic with the Rabbids, what would you do? Don't be afraid to go crazy.
I wouldn't, because I hate the Rabbids. I despise the Rabbids. They are not funny. They're not cute. They are not enjoyable by any stretch of the imagination. They are vile, and I despise them and the fact that they have endured. If they were to vanish off the face of the earth tomorrow, I would be perfectly fine.
I think they seem to have persisted in spite of everything. I don't know if there was I don't know how popular are they. They gotta be popular. Maybe it's a French.
They've gotta be.
Maybe it's a French thing. They gotta be popular somewhere.
They're basically the DreamWorks Minions, but for Ubisoft.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And they're a running gag that appeals to some audience. They obviously have some kind of staying power because they cross over with freaking Mario to make an XCOM-like game. What in the freaking world? And that's getting a freaking sequel. Back when they were meant to be like a zombie horde for Rayman to plow through, they were funny in that regard. I was like, okay, that's weird, but that's Rayman. Sure, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then things went the way they did, and now they just won't go away.
I was like, I don't know why. I don't even know why these guys are still a thing. Like, I remember when Raving Rabbids came out on the Wii, and people were like, "What the heck is this? This isn't a Rayman game. What are these things?"
I will say that I am at least happy that they've skewed away from the marketing campaign where they stare at you and scream with their like wide, vacant red eyes. Now that they're just ugly, obnoxious things to the side, they're more tolerable, but just, Feed, if you enjoy the Rabbids, I don't mean to rain on your parade. I'm glad you enjoy it. I hope you have fun with whatever they're in. But no, I don't even want to consider yick. No, set them on fire, beat them with a baseball bat. Just get rid of them. Don't like them. Flush them down the toilet. Be gone.
People
cast ye out.
People like the Minions, so people like the Rabbids too, I guess, And
I'm not saying that I haven't, cracked a smile or giggled at some Minion antics in the past, but it's also like, okay, I've had enough Minions now. Something else, please.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. Oh well. Here's one from Scurvy Pirate Hog. In issue 41 of IDW Sonic, out of curiosity, how many people die? Like, it seems to imply that the Zeti killed some of the people, like that doctor tending Zavok, and with how Zamam has threatened people to eat people at times, did he actually eat some of the people there? And speaking of the Zeti, it seems like all they want to do is just destroy things, and Zavok's plan was more or less just destroy the towns we tried to destroy during the Metal Virus saga. So is Zavok just not clever when it comes to creating evil plans of his own? Is that the difference between Zavok and Eggman? Eggman's got the master plan, while Zavok does not? Just trying to understand the character a bit.
We're taking the all ages route of, yeah, probably some did die, but we're not going to put a body count on it. We'll leave it nebulous enough so that it's like G to PG levels of violence here. Something that is considerable enough so that if you want to think about it, if you want to consider the level of devastation and horror they've wreaked, unleashed, then yeah, they're awful, violent creatures. If you don't want it to be that dark, you have plenty of room to say, well, we never saw a body, so they just did lots of mean things, and you keep it perfectly sanitized. Is that hedging things a bit? Oh, it absolutely is. But, this is after spending a year and a half on a zombie apocalypse where nobody dies, You can do your horrible things without going full on adult literature. At the very least, lots of people got messed up and had bad days for sure. As for their MOs, Eggman wants to conquer the world. He wants to impose his will. He has a vision for a structure to the planet, and that's his motivation. That is his goal. And anything that gets in the way is paved over or destroyed, and that's the villainy of it. He will trample anyone in his way to achieve his goal. Zavok and the Deadly Six are, in a way, worse because they don't have an ultimate goal outside of sowing misery and destruction. They want to tear things down because that's what they like to do. And that's kind of scary in its own way, because there's no bartering with that. You know, you can't offer anything in exchange. You can't rationalize with that logic. They just want to destroy what they don't want. Anything that they want to tear down, they'll do it. They'll salt the earth just for giggles. They enjoy the misery and ruination that they bring upon others. And is that any more lofty a goal than Eggman? No, absolutely not. Is it fairly basic? Sure. But you don't necessarily have to have a big Lex Luthor Machiavellian plan to be a good villain.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're just a one step up from a force of nature.
Some said he just want to watch the world burn. Here's a question from Sonic. Does Tails even own anything in his workshop, since no political system means no legal system, or can someone just go and take it? Oh, and how can police exist without a political system, since they were mentioned by Night the Owl? If there is a village chief in Windmill Village, how does that work if there is no political system involved, since there is no political system in Sonic's world? How do cities in Sonic's world function without a political system? Can you ask Saga to explain these things if you do not know the answers? I assume they mean Sega, but who knows?
Yeah, it functions on the same way that the Chaotix are always dirt poor, but there's no money.
Yeah, just don't think about it.
I mean, in the terms of Windmill Village, that's different. You can have, you know, a small community's hierarchy or organization that doesn't really necessarily reflect the state of the world. But yeah, the animals in general seem to work on some kind of benevolent socialist anarchy. It's weird. I don't think there's been a lot of thought put into it. It's just that's the way it is. A police force would be entirely of volunteers who legitimately want to do good for others. Wouldn't that be lovely? Any kind of city structure would be run by individuals who just want to make a functioning community, and everyone kind of agrees to do so. I guess you don't have to worry about dues or taxes because there's no money. Or the fact that, you know, everyone is contributing to the greater good. You know, sure, Tails' possessions may not legally be bound to him, but nobody would take them because that would be inherently wrong, I guess. It's a world of cartoon animals, man. Let's just kind of run with it.
But no taxes means no taxman, and no taxman means no Sonic Mania.
Womp womp.
Well, here's a question from Fiona M. They travel between the two worlds through giant secret rings, from Bumblecast August 10th, 2020. Does Saga still consider it to be two planets in two spirit dimensions, or just two planets in one dimension? Since giant rings are used to enter the special stages, does that mean the characters travel in the special stages to get to the two worlds, or is it like the giant ring in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which transported Sonic straight to the Master Emerald Shrine? And how do the Chaos Emeralds travel between the two worlds? First of all, that's two that have called it Saga, and these are some very similar spelling errors in this. I mean, could just be a coincidence, but I'm curious now. Are these two different people? Oh well, whatever. It's fine. Go ahead.
Those are all very legitimate questions and reasons why I hate the two worlds scenario. At this juncture, I can't really talk about it too much. Suffice to say, don't worry about two worlds too much.
Yeah, people keep getting way too wrapped up.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Here's a question from Hero of Light 13. I've been filling the wait between Sonic announcements / releases by marathoning other franchises, and the Legend of Zelda series has really been captivating me so far. So, Ian, my question to you is if you were given the chance to write a Legend of Zelda comic series, how would you handle it? Would you try to adopt and weave the different stories and timelines together in some more cohesive fashion? If so, which story would you want to start with first? Or would you want to tell a new story that's inspired by what came before? I know timelines can be an aggravating subject for you, but I absolutely love stuff like that, so I'm really curious how you'd handle something like that. Also, Legend of Sonic crossover event, when?
I see it as kind of a three ways you could approach it. Number one, you could do just straight up adaptations. But there are manga out there that kind of already do interpretations of the game stories, and I don't know, they're already kind of done. Like maybe some of the earlier games could stand to be fleshed out. Adam Bryce Thomas, who does art for Dragoon, one of his personal passion projects is a very painterly silent comic doing the Zelda 1 story. And it's freaking gorgeous. So go look that up. But I kind of feel like the story of Zelda, especially the ones that are so story driven, they're already told. Yeah, you could do it another way, but been there, done that. Another approach would be to tell the stories in between the games. You know, did Link ever get out of, or where did Link go after he left Termina? Or when the people needed a hero and none appeared and the world was drowned by the gods. How did that go? The world of Hyrule 1,000 years before Calamity Ganon. What was that like? You know, tell the in-betweequels, because you got miles and miles of narrative ground to cover there. Skyward Sword, the opening sequence talks about Hylia fighting Demise and raising Skyloft into the sky. I want to see that. I want to see that story. Or, in Skyward Sword, during the credits, you kind of get a hint at what Zelda's story was in the background. Honestly, I would have liked to have played and seen that more than what we got out of Link's adventure. Or Ocarina of Time, Link fell asleep. He was sealed away for, 7 years or something? And, pops back out and it's like, time to be a hero. But Zelda lived through all that. She went off with Impa. She had to train to become a Sheikah. She learned the song. She's been moving around. She grew up during Ganon's occupation. I want to see that. Ganondorf, excuse me, there is a distinction. I want to see that story, that kind of stuff. That would be really cool.
Zelda always has the more interesting story, but it's always in the background. Go figure.
I know. It's like a legend or something, even.
Weird.
Third option would be kind of what Breath of the Wild did, which was just like a hodgepodge of the various mythologies and just said, they're all together in this world. Don't think too hard about it. And, just tell a story of Link being a hero and Zelda being the wise magical leader and some kind of dark malevolent force. I skew towards Ganondorf myself, but there are others out there that you could pull from, or maybe something new. I don't know. And just tell something that kind of follows the same tropes, but its own story. Create my own Legend of Zelda. And, pepper it full of Easter eggy stuff and just have fun with the mythos. Any of those could work, and I'd be very happy to do any of them. Nintendo, call me.
Just 2 Hyrule Warriors, time travel shenanigans, new characters, all sorts of universe hopping. Who cares? Just do whatever.
I mean, Hyrule Warriors really is just this great fanfic that does it right, man.
Yeah.
Love that game story. Anyway, as for crossover, maybe.
Could be fun.
Sure, I don't know. That would be one of the weirder ones to make work, but it's doable.
Sure. I don't think it would be all that weird. There's certainly a lot of fantasy elements that can cross over between the two.
Yeah, but all culminate with a kind of a mad dash for the Triforce, and then Sonic gets there first, goes super off the golden power, saves the day, and as everyone's parting ways at the end, it's like, you got the Relic of the Gods, something that can literally grant any wish, and you chose to go super? Go with what you know. It worked, didn't it?
Yeah. It's true. Also, you know, they're both triangle shaped, so you know, both shiny triangle shaped items. We'll go with that.
Maybe Sonic gets infected with a Twilight Shard and becomes Werehog with Midna.
Oh no! Here's a question from Diane W. What kind of pizza toppings would each Sonic character have on their pizza? Would Eggman have egg on his? And who likes pineapple on their pizza and who doesn't? I always have pizza at my house every Friday, so I thought this would be a nice question to ask about what the Sonic guest would like. And no, this didn't come about because of your joke about Shadow opening a pizza shop. Well, that's a very specific thing there you're mentioning, Diane. Are you sure? Are you sure? You're immediately making the you're the one who brought it up.
Yeah, I'm actually having a lot of trouble with this one.
I don't know.
Of all the things that you would think wouldn't stump me, pizza toppings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Sonic is a big chili dog fan, so I guess he'd be kind of a meat lovers.
Why not have just a chili pizza? Chili dog pizza. You could do that.
I mean, you can do that, right? Just chop up the hot dog and
top up the hot dog, put it on there. Yeah, use chili instead of tomato sauce. Put cheese on it. That sounds like a heck of a pizza, actually. I kind of want that now.
Yeah, that ain't a bad idea. That'd be messy as all get out, but, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of see Tails, he might make something nicer when he's got a moment, but he might just go for plain cheese when he's working, because you don't even have to worry about anything falling off. You just grab a slice and nosh while you keep typing or working or torquing or whatever machine he's working on.
Mm-hmm.
Amy would be all about like the delicatessen pizza, like something actually wood-fired with vegetables and nice tomatoes, and something that approaches real food, not your here's $10 for a family size pie type of thing.
A nice margarita.
Yeah.
Yes.
Knuckles doesn't know what pizza is. And Eggman would be experimental, maybe. He would put the pineapple on there, and he would hate it, unless somebody else hated it, in which case they don't understand his culinary genius. They don't understand the flavor profiles he's putting together. Only a true genius can appreciate the kind of toppings he's throwing on there.
Maybe.
And then Orbot and Cubit are ordered to very surreptitiously throw it away.
Maybe it could be like the old days, the old Eggman days, the old Robotnik days in the comics, where he was literally drinking motor oil.
Oh,
have a pizza. Have a pizza where instead of tomato sauce, he just uses motor oil, just to see what happens, just to try it.
It's not brushed with olive oil. It's brushed with WD-40. Ugh.
Yeah, sure. Why not? He does all sorts of weird stuff. He's that kind of guy. What about Starline? Does he also like a very, very fancy pizza?
Yeah, like the type that you eat with a fork and a knife.
That's not a pizza. That's not a pizza. It's a pizza.
Shadow doesn't eat some gooey, sloppy disc. He only eats calzones. Calzone control. This is what you wanted, isn't it, Maria? A chance for everyone to have Panzerottis.
What is up with Shadow? And just being able to swap words around like that. It's because he's such a serious character, but it's so easy to make him say stupid things. It's great. And our last priority question is from Speedweed. So with Metroid Dread on the horizon and Metroid's 35th anniversary, just about a month or so away, I'm reminded of the expansive world the franchise has, what with the Prime trilogy and the fusion building onto it. So I must ask, for Ian, with so many bounty hunters we have to choose from in the Prime games, from Silex to Weevil Tarundus and Gandrada. There we go.
Yeah.
That's probably close. And everyone else in between, which one would you like to see fleshed out the most in either a future Metroid installment or even future Metroid media?
Number one, can we just take a second to revel in the fact that Dread came back from the dead? Like, that title is like one of it's almost like the Sonic Extreme of Metroid.
Yeah.
A game that we knew was in the works, that was caught in development hell and was never going to see the light of day. And it's here.
Yeah.
They did it. And it's a direct continuation of Fusion. It's not just some one odd side thing. So that's just like, oh, that's cool.
That is cool. Although every time I hear that title, I think of it's a crossover between Metroid and Judge Dredd.
She is the law.
I mean, she is. It's true. It's just what I'm thinking every time. Like, okay. Well.
Now, I am super rusty on my Metroid lore. I'm pretty sure Rundus and Ganadrea are dead. Like, I'm pretty sure they died in Prime 3.
Has that ever stopped anyone before?
It did stop Ridley, that's for sure. All right, fair point. But from my understanding, Silex was kind of being built up as potentially the rival, because he was in, 2 games? Like, it was possibly his ship at the end of Prime 3. So I would kind of like if they followed up on that, give us something a little different than it's more space pirates, or it's Ridley again. Not that there's anything wrong with Ridley. I do enjoy my giant purple space dragon. Eloquent monsters and all that. But let's mix it up just a little bit. So, yeah, we'll say Silex, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to go through like the roster of hunters again, because they were all kind of neat. I don't know. Maybe Silex, just because that's the one I can kind of remember off the top of my head.
Would I think they really need to kind of figure out how to integrate the F-Zero universe and the Metroid universe, because, I mean, you've got 2 bounty hunters as the lead characters of both franchises, so why not?
Yeah, but
I know F-Zero is a very cartoony, kind of almost comic booky superhero style world, and Metroid is not, but still.
Yeah, I remember reading a developer interview, though, where they said that the original premise of Prime 3 was that she was hunting down these bounties, and the note back from Nintendo was, she doesn't do that. I'm like, she's a bounty hunter, though. I go, yeah, for the United Federation. She does jobs for them. But that's not a bounty hunter. You're just using the term bounty hunter because it sounds cool. Yes. Okay, so that's why the other 3 got turned into other bounty hunters, was to make that plot line work. But, I kind of assume Captain Falcon is similar in the whole bounty hunter, just because Boba Fett made the term cool and they don't have any concept of what it actually means to hunt bounties. So, whatever.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess. Oh, well.
I'm not saying you're wrong. It would be a fun crossover. I'm just saying there's already a landmine in the way that I'm kind of about.
I could see Samus, like, traveling to Mute City, the planet. It's the planet of Mute City. It's a huge planet. You could just do that. That'd be cool. Throw Corneria in there too. Get Star Fox in on the action. Sure, why not? Get all the get all the spacefaring Nintendo properties together. Whatever. Just go for it.
Just having Samus' stoicism in the bombastic world of F-Zero would be fun. Now, Speedweed has a question for you, Kyle.
Oh boy, hit me with it.
With a vast distinction between Metroid soundtracks and music, what would you like to see potentially remastered, if at all?
Oh, man. Yeah, you're definitely right on there being a lot of disparate music styles within the Metroid series. God, Super Metroid soundtrack is legendary, though, for good reason. It's very good. I would not mind hearing that. There's been so many different renditions of it, both official and fan-made, that it's like, where do you go from here? Same with the original classic games, the first Metroid. Those soundtracks, wonderful as they are, amazing as they are, legendary as they are, been kind of driven into the ground, sorta. Metroid 2 really only has one song that I like. 'Cause I think it's like the only real song in the game, but it's really good. So I wouldn't mind hearing some more of that. Some more of that song. Maybe bring that song back somehow. Jeez, I don't know. It's such a rich franchise musically. There really isn't a bad soundtrack in any of them. Except maybe Metroid 2. Which barely even has any music, so. Yeah, I don't know. Prime has a lot of good tunes in it. The Prime series, the Prime trilogy. Though there's really just a few standouts, I think, that really seem to get the most attention. So I guess you just kind of stick with good old Super Metroid and go from there, really. I don't know what they're planning to do with the music from Dread, actually. I actually haven't even seen the trailer or anything to know what they're doing on that, so. But it could be interesting to kind of explore that, maybe explore that same style of music going forward. We'll see. And then there's a question for both of us. What's your favorite suit?
I'm going to be boring and just said the Varia suit.
Yeah, the Varia suit's legendary. I mean, could be weird and say Zero suit, but that's Zero suit. There's no suit.
yeah. I don't know. Now, there's one thing that I'm hoping that they'll address, and I'm sure they will, because it's kind of a staple of the series, is you start off armed to the teeth and then you lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of Fusion, when she fuses with SAX, she gets something that looks like the Varia suit by the end. And in the footage we are shown of Dread, she has something that's looking closer to the Fusion suit. And it's really cool. Yeah, I really, really like the metallic sinew that's binding the plate metal together. That's super cool. I love that rendition of the suit.
The Dread suit looks fantastic, yeah.
But I'm just wondering what happened to the upgraded version. You know, did that get absorbed and that's why it looks more armored instead of... Because in Fusion it looked almost plastic. It looked more biological on her. And this is more definitely tech. So did she like absorb it into it and that's the end result? Is there something that happens at the beginning of Dread and she's rendered back to the Fusion suit? I'm sure they will address it. I just want to know now because I'm greedy. Gimme.
Mm-hmm. The dark suit from Metroid Prime 2 looks pretty cool.
As does the light suit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Is there really a bad suit design for Samus? She seems to have a pretty good style overall for the...
yeah, pretty much.
For overall. Like, there's not really a terrible one. Like, some look kind of weirder than others, but the fusion suit, I guess, with the green and pink, maybe if someone's not a fan of that, but I kind of dig that. I think it looks pretty cool. But
what was that one? I think it was in Prime 3 that had like almost looked like tire treads on the shoulders. Which suit was that? Was it the Hazard suit?
The Hazard suit might have been.
God, it's been so long. But like you said, pretty much all the suits are pretty freaking cool. Like, maybe I'm not as fond of the color schemes of 1 or 2, but like, yeah, overall, Samus just looks like a badass.
Yeah, pretty much. The Zero Mission suit is really cool, actually. I like that one a lot with the purple bits on it for her arms and legs. That's pretty neat. Yeah, it's a pretty neat design. I don't know, man. They're all pretty good. And that's it for the priority questions this week. We got a bit of a light standard Q&A coming up, and we'll get to that right after these messages on the Bumblecast. And we're back to jump into the standard Q&A, starting off with one from Lucas R. Does Sonic have a resistance to having his speed stolen? Is he completely immune to having his speed stolen?
Depends on the game and the continuity. Like in Sat AM, the wizard Lazar zapped away his speed.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole premise of Sonic Labyrinth is that he gets stuck with speed down shoes. But other than that, I don't think so. Like, the speed down shoes are more of a shackle. It's not like his inherent speed is gone. It's just he's being held back. Although, I guess that is his speed being stolen to a degree. I guess it depends on how pedantic you want to be on the definition of speed stealing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I don't work with Sega. Here's a question from X Bloody Whale X. Hypothetically, could Mephiles be infected with the metal virus in his crystal form?
I'm going to say no. Mephiles couldn't be infected at all because he seems to be I don't want to say a gaseous being because that sounds wrong. He's
no, that's me.
He's made of vapor and darkness.
Ethereal.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
That's good.
Who's the
That's
writer between us?
Well, I'm not the one who came up with it, so I'm just pulling from chat. Thanks, chat.
Okay. I mean, like, Omega unloads a full clip into him, and he just laughs and kind of poofs. So, I think he would be actually fully immune to the metal virus.
Interesting. Here's a question from Tony C. Since the Sonic Boom brand is officially over, I feel like this is the right time to ask. In the old Archie Sonic universe, the writers gave the characters more backstory, including tie-ins with previously unrelated material, like Hope looking like Maria, or Silver traveling to the past with the Time Stones. Sonic and the main cast never had a backstory in Boom, much less Shadow, who hates Sonic for no known reason. Do you have a headcanon of sorts for what backstory the characters may have had?
No, and that's twofold. One, because Boom was a comedy book, and
a comedy show.
Yeah. We were going straight goofy with that, so we never really had a ton of like legitimate plot or characterization in mind, or at least I didn't going into it. And that's because, number two, what little I did with the show, it was pretty apparent that Sega was very, very resistant to building a new lore for Boom. Like, we got some crumbs in the games, and they were inconsistent at best. And my understanding was that the showrunners ran into a lot of walls trying to do anything in the show, even though they were trying to keep it fairly light. So it's like, why? I already was jumping through hoops to get the main book continuity through. Why make it even harder with Boom? So, no, with Boom, we were just being goofy. Or at least I was being goofy.
Here's a question from Miles T. Prower. I have a question regarding a particular character that rarely gets talked about. T-Pup. He appeared in the pre-reboot and survived the character transition, yay, and he was in the post-reboot. However, if I recall correctly, all the elements from the post-reboot belong to Archie. My question would end there, but in IDW, we see that Tails has a lab, or house, I don't remember, that is modeled after T-Pup. My question is he off limits, or can he still be used? I still think he's a great concept that is begging to be part of the games.
I'm assuming he's fine since he's a game asset. He'd probably have to skew closer to his game design, and we'd probably have to call him what he was in the game, which was, I think, Robo-Tails. I remember looking this up a bit ago because I thought it was actually T-Pup, and there's like no game basis for that. And it's like, did I come up with that? Like, where did T-Pup come from?
Teacup.
Because it's supposed to be short for Tails Pup, which I could have sworn was a name for him at some point, but I couldn't find that anywhere. So it's like, did I just make that up? So, I mean, I'm not particularly fond of Robo-Tails. That sounds like something Eggman would build, but whatever.
Teacup. Still laughing. I like Teacup.
But if he were to show up, he's probably a classic asset.
Yeah. Oh, well. Guess you just have to do a classic book.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like people need to buy that 30th anniversary book. That might make Sega realize that there's demand for that. Just putting that out there. I don't know. Try it. Here's a question from Daniel H. I recently reread the Archie Mega Man comics, and near the end of the series, the idea of a robot being decommissioned from Mega Man 9 and the Robot Museum from Mega Man 7 started being set up and linked together. My question is, by the time you guys reach Mega Man 7, would Light's original 8 Robot Masters all have been decommissioned since Gutsman was in the museum in Mega Man 7? Also, are Mega Man, Roll, and Quake Woman excluded from the decommission process due to them being considered their creators' children?
I think the question would more be what constitutes the decommissioning? Like, how long are these Robot Masters commissioned for? With the original 8, did Dr. Light envision them as being operational for a certain time frame? Did Gutsman become decommissioned because he ran out of juice sooner than the others? Too much wear and tear? You know, why were the ones in the Robot Museum specifically there? Or, you know, what time frame were these Robot Masters supposed to operate under? And answering that would give us a lot of leeway, or at least rationalize where the Robot Masters were at what points in the game. Or games in the story. Where they would be in the stories. And why. As for Rock, Roll, and Tempo, same thing. Like, I can't imagine Dr. Light would hard code a specific commission time frame for his children. You know? He can be maybe a little naive, but he isn't thoughtlessly cruel. Come on now. He's made mistakes, but I can't imagine him doing anything remotely like that. Likewise, I can't imagine Dr. Lilinde doing that to Tempo either. Or, given that she didn't full-on restore her emotional programming, would she do something short-sighted like that? Well, no, because she didn't want to go through the pain again, but she still wanted to hold on to her. So, no, she wouldn't have put a commission date on that. So, yeah, nah, yeah. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Ozzy-Man reviews lately, so, yeah, nah.
Here's a question from P.L. Martin, and it'll be our last question on this episode of the Bumblecast, so let's go ahead and get into it. It was mentioned by Regina the Iron Queen that she wasn't sure if there were other technomages in the Overland. I've been curious if there were any other technomages other than the Iron Queen left on Mobius Prime. In general, they seem like benign people that were just marked by overzealous overlanders that feared the concept of people controlling machines.
I didn't have anything. I feel like this is a safe one to trot out there. I didn't have any long-term plans with that. I was just leaving myself an out, so that if the idea of technomancy took off, or if Regina was a popular enough character that we wanted to explore her in different avenues, you could have the option of, oh, some of the technomages survived in seclusion over here, and maybe there's a good one, and maybe we can do something with the technomancy over here. Or if, you know, nobody liked it, and we wanted to just wrap a bow on that particular plot point, it's like, yeah, they're all dead. So leaving that kind of nebulous gives you the opportunity to follow up on it or not.
Yeah, just kind of setting things up just in case, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, makes sense. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Well, I've got a list of all the wonderful people who continue to contribute to the show and make it possible. A big thank you to... Oh, that backfired.
Yeah. Whoops.
That backfired really bad.
Uh-oh. You okay?
Yeah. Big thank you to Daniel H., Alex B., James K., John B., Jennifer R., Samuel P., Robotnik Holmes, Sam Cybercat, Mike B., Justin G., Torchbound, Coupling, Crew 128, Do As Diz Den, Diane W., Andrew D., Scruffy Matt, Chris A., Sony, John M., Bradley T.T., Dawn B., Yami M., Salute Your Cat, Sin Fritz, Lee H.K., Lisa M., Chevelle, Nani, Silly String, Off, Dave M., Blue Title Gamer, Jay Frost, Justin S., Paps, Tick Tick, Final Neo, Jib, Degama F., Wow, Hero of Light 13, Jonathan D., Rachel W., Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Piggy Bank, Daniel B., PC the Unicorn, Daddler the Dalek, Ryan D., Pandulce, Preston M., Dove, Speedweed, Red the Superdynamic, Jonathan W., Owen B.D., Flixie, Chase L., Fernando G., Sapphire Scarletta, Turbo, Jonathan R., Crooker, Chad, Les, Sonic, Fionn M., Lewis J., Renard Pixel, Creative Name, Happy Times, Feed, Scurvy Pirate Hog, and somebody.
Somebody. Who knows?
Somebody.
This could just be somebody. Somebody.
Anybody.
It could be you. Head on over to patreon.com/Bumblecast and make it you. Where can people find you on the internet, Ian?
Find me on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC or my personal website, BumbleKing.com, that has lists to the Q&A master list and pretty much anything you could possibly want to know about me. Kyle, what about you?
You can find me over on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also head on over to kngi.org. That's the home of the KNGI network. That's where you can find all the archived episodes of the Bumblecast in MP3 downloadable format for your listening pleasure. You can also find my other show, Nitro Game Injection. Listen to that one streaming live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, or listen to the archives if you enjoy video game music and video game music remixes, covers, arrangements, and all of that fun stuff. Last episode I did was a Sonic show, so you better get on that. So it was the 30th anniversary special. So do check that out. Do check it out.
You can check it out by following us on Twitter at Bumblecast, emailing us at bumblecast@yahoo.com, and listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, our YouTube channel, and kngi.org.
Don't forget to check out the shop, the Bumble Store, over at shop.spreadshirt.com/Bumble Store, and that's where you can find all sorts of Bumble gear and Bumble home goods and Bumble accessories for your Bumble abode.
And check out Bumblecast Gaming live streaming on YouTube. That's youtube.com/BumbleKing videos, Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on Twitter for announcements because Kyle has been busy. I flaked out the past 2 weeks. Sorry, I just didn't feel well. So we're kind of behind on that, but we do it on occasion. I mean,
we try.
Maybe I can start up again because Scarlet Nexus just came out, and that's apparently written by the same wonderful person who wrote Tales of Symphonia and Tales of the Abyss. I was like, it's a Bamco RPG, maybe. Oh, it's written by her. Yes, okay, now you have my interest.
Intriguing. Very
indeed.
Intriguing indeed. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Bumblecast, unless I got anything else we need to get out there before we head out.
I'm good over here. How about you?
I'm good.
All right, then we will see you next week for more Bumblecast, and we'll see you Wednesday as we wrap up our month-long guest episode extravaganza.
Indeed. We'll see you then.
Extravaganza. There we go. Had to get the engine going on that one. Extravaganza.
Let's get out of here. Bye.
Well,
Trying to give
I will let
yourself a promotion. You've been listening to the Bumblecast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Like back in the old forum days, I was really hard up for cash, so I had a little program called Quick Fix, FICS, and did just little short stories for like pocket change, just to get things done. And there were a couple that I don't know if I can still find the files, but I had fun with those. And I'm like, darn, I wish I could find those again. Like one in particular was somebody wanted a spoof on Scott Pilgrim, except it's all the various love interests across the franchise chasing down Sonic in a battle royale. And the bit that I cracked myself up the worst on is that Elise is in the mix, and then she, fake boo-hoos so that she cries, which unleashes the power of Iblis, and then she just like dragon fire breathes a plume of flame on people. It's like boo-hoo.
Wow.
It's like, I don't care who you are. That's funny.
That is very funny.
I don't care if I wrote it.
That's very funny.